Every single second of every single day, McDonald's alone serves approximately 75 burgers somewhere on Earth. That is 6.5 million burgers a day from one company. The hamburger is the most consumed prepared food in human history, and it is less than 150 years old. But the burger did not begin in America. It did not begin in a diner, a drive-thru, or a World's Fair. It began on the Mongol steppe, with warriors who had no time to stop and cook, and who invented a method of preparing meat that would eventually become the foundation of the most powerful fast food empire the world has ever seen. This is not a story about food. It is a story about industrialization, immigration, the engineering of addiction, the systematic destruction of independent farming, and how a single product became the symbol and the symptom of everything America exported to the world in the 20th century. Mongol cavalry, 13th century. Warriors riding for days without stopping to cook placed raw scraps of meat under their saddles. The pressure and friction of riding tenderized the meat. When they finally stopped, they ate it raw, quickly, without fire, without ceremony. This was not a meal, it was fuel for conquest. It was the first minced meat patty in recorded history. The journey west. As the Mongol Empire expanded into Russia and Eastern Europe, the practice of eating minced raw meat spread with it. Russian traders adapted it, adding onions, raw egg, and spices, and called it steak tartare, named after the Tartars, the Mongol subgroup they encountered. The dish spread through Baltic trade routes into Germany. Hamburg, 17th century. German sailors and merchants traveling between Hamburg and New York began eating a cooked version of the minced meat patty, pan-fried, seasoned, served between slices of bread for ease of eating on board ships. By the time it arrived in America, it was already being called Hamburg steak after the port it came from. Etymology bomb. The word hamburger has nothing to do with ham. It comes entirely from Hamburg, Germany. Every time someone orders a cheeseburger, a veggie burger, or a chicken burger, they are using a word that describes a German port city in a dish that originated on the Mongolian steppe. The most American food in the world is not American at all. The 1880s American city. Millions of European immigrants, German, Irish, Italian, Polish, flooding into industrial cities like New York, Chicago, and Cincinnati. They needed food that was cheap, fast, portable, and filling. The Hamburg steak, sold by German immigrant street vendors, fit all four requirements perfectly. The burger was born from necessity, not invention. The bun debate. Multiple American cities claim to have invented the hamburger sandwich, the patty placed between two halves of a bun. New Haven, Connecticut, 1900, Athens, Texas, 1880s, Seymour, Wisconsin, 1885, and the 1904 St. Louis World's Fair all have competing claims. The truth is probably that the same practical idea occurred independently to dozens of vendors simultaneously. Nobody invented the burger, everyone did. The meat-packing revolution. The burger's rise coincided exactly with the industrialization of American meat. The Chicago stockyards, described in horrifying detail by Upton Sinclair in The Jungle, 1906, were processing millions of cattle per year using assembly line slaughter techniques pioneered by Gustav Swift. For the first time in history, beef was cheap enough for working-class Americans to eat daily. The burger needed industrial meat to exist. Industrial meat needed the burger to be consumed. The White Castle moment, 1921. The first fast food hamburger chain opened in Wichita, Kansas. Founder Billy Ingram had a specific problem. Americans did not trust ground beef after Upton Sinclair's exposé of the meatpacking industry. His solution was radical: make the kitchens entirely visible, dress the staff in white uniforms, and build restaurants that looked like small castles, gleaming, clean, institutional. He was not selling burgers, he was selling trust. It worked. White Castle became the template for everything that followed. San Bernardino, California, 1948. Brothers Richard and Maurice McDonald redesigned their drive-in restaurant using a principle borrowed from Henry Ford's assembly line. They called it the Speedy Service System. Every element was standardized: the grill temperature, the patty weight, the bun size, the condiment quantities. A burger could be produced in 30 seconds. The kitchen was a machine, the food was the output. Ray Kroc enters 1954. A 52-year-old milkshake machine salesman named Ray Kroc visited the McDonald Brothers restaurant in San Bernardino and saw something nobody else had seen. Not a restaurant, but a system that could be replicated infinitely. He bought the franchising rights, eventually bought out the brothers entirely for $2.7 million, and built the most successful restaurant franchise in human history. The McDonald brothers died wealthy but largely forgotten. Kroc died worth $500 million and has a museum named after him. The franchise revolution. McDonald's success depended not on making good burgers, but on making identical burgers. The same taste, the same size, the same experience in Tokyo, Moscow, Paris, and Topeka, Kansas. To achieve this, McDonald's vertically integrated its entire supply chain, controlling the farms, the processing plants, the distribution networks, and the packaging. It became not a restaurant company, but a logistics company that happened to sell food. The potato deal. McDonald's relationship with its potato suppliers, primarily in Idaho and Washington, transformed American agriculture. To supply the volume of French fries the chain required, suppliers had to adopt a single potato variety, the russet burkant, specific pesticide programs, and industrial farming methods. Hundreds of independent farmers who could not meet the scale requirements were driven out of business. McDonald's didn't just change how Americans ate burgers, it changed what American farms looked like. The Flavor Laboratory. In the 1960s and 70s, McDonald's and its competitors began working with the same flavor houses, Givaudan, IFF, that the sugar and processed food industries used. The specific combination of fat, salt, sugar, and umami in a fast food burger is not accidental. It is engineered to hit multiple reward pathways simultaneously, the same principle as the bliss point in sugar. A McDonald's burger does not taste of beef, it tastes like a precisely calibrated neurological reward. The children's strategy. In 1979, McDonald's introduced the Happy Meal, a burger, fries, and a toy in a box designed specifically for children. The toy changed every couple of weeks, creating a collection incentive. The strategy was explicit in internal marketing documents. Establish brand loyalty before the age of 8, when brand preferences are formed and before critical thinking about food is developed. Ronald McDonald became the second most recognized fictional character among American children after Santa Claus. The environmental cost. Producing a single beef burger requires approximately 660 gallons of water, 6.5 pounds of grain, and generates the equivalent greenhouse gas emissions of driving a car 6.5 miles. Global beef production for burgers is one of the leading drivers of Amazon deforestation. Cattle ranching accounts for approximately 80% of Amazon land cleared since 1970. The burger the world eats 75 times a second is consuming the planet at a measurable rate. The worker economy. The fast food industry employs approximately 4 million people in the United States, making it one of the largest employers in the country. The median wage for a fast food worker is $13 an hour. Most receive no benefits, no sick leave, and no guaranteed hours. The industry that generates $200 billion annually in the U.S. alone has successfully lobbied against minimum wage increases in every major legislative cycle since 1980. The burger that costs $5 is priced that way because the people making it cannot afford to eat it. The health epidemic export. As McDonald's expanded globally from the 1970s onward, entering Japan in 1971, the UK in 1974, China in 1990, India in 1996, obesity and type 2 diabetes rates in those countries began rising within a decade of the chain's arrival. The correlation is documented in public health literature across multiple countries. McDonald's did not cause these epidemics alone, but it was the advance guard of a dietary shift that public health systems in those countries were completely unprepared for. The Burger Wars, 1970s to 1980s. McDonald's, Burger King, and Wendy's engaged in one of the most expensive marketing battles in American corporate history. The Have It Your Way campaign, the Where's the Beef moment, the blind taste tests, the price wars. Billions of dollars were spent convincing Americans that minor variations between nearly identical products constituted meaningful choice. The wars produced not diversity, but convergence. Every chain gradually moved toward the same menu, the same price point, the same experience. The globalization of sameness. By 2000, McDonald's was operating in 119 countries. In every market it entered, it eventually displaced local food cultures, not by force, but by price, convenience, and the extraordinary power of American cultural exports. In France, which had resisted American fast food more than almost any other country, McDonald's is now the most profitable fast food chain in the country. A nation of haute cuisine spends more per capita at McDonald's than Americans do. The craft burger response. Beginning around 2010, a global craft burger movement emerged. Chef-driven burger restaurants using heritage breed beef, house-made buns, artisanal cheeses, and locally sourced produce. In London, New York, Tokyo, and Sydney, burgers that cost $20 to $30 became status symbols, the same trajectory as craft beer and specialty coffee. The industrialized food in human history spawned a luxury artisan counter-movement within a single generation. The plant-based moment. Impossible Burger launched in 2016, Beyond Meat in 2012. Both used food science to replicate the taste, texture, and appearance of beef using plant proteins. By 2019, both products were available at major fast food chains. The same industry that engineered the beef burger's addictive qualities was now engineering plant-based alternatives using identical neurological targeting. Same bliss point, different raw material. Lab-grown meat. In 2013, Dutch scientist Mark Post produced the first lab-grown beef burger at a cost of $330,000 per patty. By 2023, the cost had fallen to approximately $10 per patty, and several companies had received regulatory approval to sell cultivated meat commercially. If the cost curve continues, lab-grown beef could reach price parity with conventional beef within a decade, potentially making the environmental argument for conventional beef farming obsolete almost overnight. The pullback. The hamburger is the most American thing in the world, and it was invented by Mongol warriors, perfected by German immigrants, industrialized by a milkshake machine salesman, and is now being replaced by a technology that makes the entire 800-year history of raising and slaughtering cattle unnecessary. It built the most powerful food empire in human history and may be about to destroy it. The proximity close. The next time you unwrap a burger, whether it costs $2 at a drive-thru or $25 at a restaurant, you are holding 800 years of migration, industrialization, addiction science, environmental destruction, and human ingenuity compressed into something you can finish in 4 minutes. Not bad for a piece of minced meat that started under a saddle on the Mongolian steppe. CTA. If this changed what you'll think about the next burger you eat, subscribe. There's a lot more history hiding in the things you consume without thinking.